Chapter 7 Cave House. When it was light, the four men, the boy and the dog, cold, wet, and tired, began their difficult journey back to their cave near the beach. The warm sun shone, and their clothes were quickly dry. The ground was very wet, and the rivers were very high. After a long time, they got back to the beach. The wind was quiet now, but great waves washed on to the land. "Look," said Cyrus. "The sea came over the beach and the rocks in the night. Our cave will be very wet." "I hope the box is all right," said Herbert. They arrived back at the beach cave in the afternoon. The floor was wet, and their beds and fireplace were not there. But the big box was fine on its shelf. They opened it, and it was dry inside. Again, they felt strange. Did somebody watch over them in the night? "We'll have to move up higher," said Cyrus, "before that wind comes back." "Let's go to the great cave in the rock wall," said Herbert. "We can go there, but—" said Cyrus. "But what?" said Pencroft. He liked the idea. Cyrus said, "We can't use the long way in and out every time. We'll have to find another way." "Perhaps there's a way in from the front," said Spilett. Said Cyrus. "I looked at it from the beach on our way back. Our window is about 80 feet up the rock wall from the ground." He turned to Pencroft. "Can we climb up there with ropes?" "Yes," said Pencroft. "But a very long rope will be dangerous in a high wind. There's a shelf in the rock, halfway up. We can use 2 shorter 40-foot ropes." "Have we got 80 feet of rope?" asked Spilett. "I can make rope," said Pencroft. "Everything for that is here on the island." It was a week before they moved into their new home. Cave House, they called it. They made more windows. Pencroft and Spilett made ropes. Herbert and Nab made beds, chairs, and tables out of wood. They pulled them up into the cave house on ropes. Cyrus made a fireplace and shelves on the walls of the cave. They broke through the rock above the fire. "Now the smoke can get out," said Cyrus. They thought about possible problems, and they tried to think of answers. "When we're all in the cave house," said Cyrus, "we can pull up the ropes. Nobody can get to us then." "We'll always have to have food for 3 or 4 days in the cave," said Spilett. "There will be times when we can't go out for fruit or eggs or fish." They worked hard, and each person learned about the other people. There were never any angry words. They were good friends. Herbert did very well. He planned and built things very carefully. He was a quick learner. Pencroft and Nab taught him a lot of things. He learned to make ropes and catch fish. He learned to build with wood. Spilett helped him to read and write. Cyrus taught him the story of America and about places round the world. And he talked to him about ideas. Herbert wasn't a child, and he wasn't a man. but he worked as hard as the older men. Pencroft liked Cyrus Smith. He was wonderful, he thought. He was not afraid of him, and he listened carefully to his words. In the evenings, Pencroft often told stories about his life at sea. Did his stories really happen? It wasn't important. They were good stories. Herbert and Nab enjoyed them. Pencroft was very clever with his hands, too. Nab was Nab. He always helped everybody, and for his master, he was ready to die. He was clever, too. When they had a problem, Nab always had a good idea, and he was a fine cook. They all liked Gideon Spilett. He's a writer, Pencroft said to Nab. A newspaper man. He knows things and he understands things, but he can do things too. He can use his head and his hands.